I caught you. You were probably browsing the World Wide Web,
I was
responding to
actually trying to
emails.
share it. I was trying to share it into my Facebook group for coaching, but I didn't beat the clock. I'll have to do it
I
after.
totally did. So here's what I did. I was looking down, share, 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 and I liked saying we're live. However,
Yeah.
today for about 20 seconds we were lice, is what I wrote. It's all
Oh
good.
man.
Fat thumbs, I guess. It's all good.
Yeah.
So you and I have planned a different type of show today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good, good,
Different
good.
format.
Different format. Well, that's the beauty of doing your own show. You can change it up a little bit. And before we get into what type of show it is, we should run our intro.
Hmm. Let's do it.
Beautiful. That makes it official now.
Yeah. Now we're actually really live.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, there's a lot of things going on in the real estate market, a lot of things happening with the agents that you and I work with, and we thought it would be beneficial to have some conversation around some of the hot topics of late, and dive into that, maybe shed some different light on it or different ideas. And really,
Yeah.
this is the next 30 minutes or so is to see some different ideas and different perspectives and allow agents to and we want your feedback too. So as you're watching along with us, or whether it's live or afterwards, drop in the comments. We're happy to discuss them. But the topics that we got on schedule for today, Jen, is a sliding scale commission.
Hmm.
CMHC was, we knew they were wrong. They finally admitted that they were wrong in some forecasting, and what else we got? We're going to talk about referrals and how to generate referrals, and more importantly, how to get paid on referrals as an
Hmm.
agent. And this one's really important. The last one that we'll be diving in on, Jen. And this was your idea. I love it. And that's the value proposition from the listing agent's perspective, especially in a hot market.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. My phone's ringing off the hook here, but that's okay. And they can wait.
Everyone's excited.
I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. So, you've had a busy week.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a little crazy. I'm just looking at my eyes on the screen. I'm like, oh my God, you can totally see that there's been a lack of sleep happening. Yeah, it's been an absolute crazy week. We closed on our townhouse, as you know, on Monday, got the keys to our new house, started the demo on the new house, moved in with the in-laws. And then I've been working with clients and, helping out some agents with some deals that they've been working on that our priority, and we've got to give them that time. So it's uh it's been pretty crazy around our neck of the woods, I'm not gonna lie, but we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel, and now it's just getting that new routine, right? Figuring out what the next couple weeks are going to be like for us.
Yeah, and I love that you just didn't go, make it easy on yourselves. Buy a house that you can move right into.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're doing the
Yeah.
whole thing, the renovation, and you got like
Yeah.
an 8, 9 month old at home, and you got lots going on.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
business to
We
take
we
care of.
like we like a challenge, we don't want to make it too easy. And that the house, obviously the decision there was, we love the bones, we like the location, and we wanted what the home has to offer. And we our budget didn't allow us to buy the updated version of that. So we, instead of buying the smaller renovated home, we just opted for the bigger long-term home that we could kind of do the work on right away. And maybe that was a wise decision, maybe it wasn't. The next month will tell. But we're excited, right? We get to put our own stamp on something too, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, that's where a lot of people would shy away from that, right? That buying a home that you can add value to, you're gonna see that grow. Not that you want to see it grow because you're not looking to sell it next month, but
Yeah,
that's something that you can, as you said, put your stamp on, make it your own. So that's exciting. It's all
yeah,
renovations are always exciting.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting trying to coordinate everybody and make sure everyone's got what they need, but also kind of not be too in anybody's way or to, micro managing any of it. And it's a fine balance, but we're really lucky. We're surrounded by great support, and my father-in-law and the crew of his guys are the ones in there doing the demos. So while we're living at his house, working and doing our thing, he's at our house jacking up the kitchen and the floors, and so it's a pretty cool situation we got going on.
So that's interesting you say that. I can provide some insight here. You ready? This is your life lesson. The faster that it might take him, he wants you out sooner. The longer it takes, he wants to see his granddaughter more.
Yeah, if all of a sudden by Tuesday he's like, just taking a saw to everything, we'll know we got to get out quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah,
Good stuff. Good stuff.
yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we dive into the first topic here? And we kind of, as I mentioned, we have a number of different topics, and each one is going to be its own quick take, if you will. So let's run with that. Okay. So the first one, Jen, sliding scale commission.
Mhm.
My first question to you is: have you used it in the past?
No. No, I haven't. Not personally. Um, I have had conversations around it and made structures based on it with clients who have used it successfully. I love it. I actually would like to transition to using it more, but I haven't used it yet. Yeah. What about you?
I believe I presented it once or twice. It wasn't necessarily something that I ran with, but I think as I hear more and more about it, I educate myself on it. I think it's a really unique opportunity. I was listening to a top realtor the other day talk about it, and this was something that was really, really relevant, 15, 20 years ago. And I think it could add a lot of value to
Mhm.
your value proposition as we kind of wrap into that a little bit later. And it really just so let's back up a little bit, Jen. What we should do is explain what it is. And
Yeah.
and so here's what it looks like is instead of doing your listing presentation and going through all the CMA, and then it gets to the conversation around what the commission is for the sale of the home or the services that you're going to provide. What you're going to the table with is really a fee guide,
Mhm.
or a service for fee, and or fee for service, sorry. And your people love options, right? So you're what you're doing is providing people with really, I think the best ones I've seen out there are three options. So at X amount percent, you're going to get maybe like a menu, you're going to get this, and then the next scale you're going to get all of these services, and then the last one you're going to get everything plus more type thing from a service perspective, and you pay
Mhm.
accordingly. And it can be, let's talk about commission openly. It can be anywhere from say 4% as a start all the way on up. I've seen them as high as 7%, and I've seen people
Yeah.
take that high range, and it really does allow people to have that choice. People love choices, wouldn't you say, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen it go as high as eight, with the idea that, there was a team in the beaches probably about 10 years ago now, and they had that model where they brought in a contractor. Like they fully did the whole reno, did some updates, fixed up electrical if necessary, especially in those areas with knob and tube and all that. Open the space up, renovate it, and you would move out of your house, you would give them your house, they would renovate it, fix it, stage it, sell it, and then you would just be back for the negotiation. And people paid that because there's a ton of value add there. And I think at the end of the day, people do like options, and this model always reminds me of there's a book called Sell That Lobster. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a marketing book, and it's really interesting. But there's one part that always stood out to me, and it was the part where they started talking about the concept of options and how that became a really big marketing tool in the 80s. And it actually started with like movie theaters and things like that, where people, the company had, the large and they had the small, or regular and small, and everybody bought the small because it was the cheaper option, but they wanted people to start buying the regular. So this marketing company came in and they looked at it and they said, okay, well, what if we have the small, we make a regular and we add a large. And now what started happening, they added the large and they had the three as we know it. They have the three on the counter and you could see the different sizes. Everybody started buying the medium drink with their old regular. And their sales, their numbers were happening back into positive profit because they were given the option. And, psychologically, for whatever reason, people tend to pick the middle option. I don't know what that is, but there's an actual thing there around that psychology around that. So I always think about that story and then think about how we present our commissions. And when we go in and we just say, it's 5%. Well, if you want someone to pay you 5, maybe you give them 4, 5, and 6 and have them pick 5. If you want them to pick 6, maybe you give them 5, 6, and 7, as long as there's, they can see what they would be getting, because that's the caveat there, right? Like they'd have to visually see it. But I think it's a great model. And I think, adding to our value prop that we're going to talk about later, how do we differentiate ourselves right now from all the other agents out there when sellers have that mindset of, well, it's easy to sell a house, right?
Yeah. I think that's really cool because and the other concept that I heard this past week too was the fact that you had your three different menu items and each menu item got grander and grander and the comment was, well, if I like say menu item 2 for instance, but there's a few things on menu item 3 that I like, can we pull those over? And normally,
Mm,
in in years past, we've been taught to say no, it's this or this. And the cool
yeah.
thing was well, why not pull a couple of those things over? And so
Hmm.
instead of the commission that aligns with that menu item, well, now it's going to be 5.25 or 5.5% if you want those other things pulled in. And I thought that was really really cool because it adds true flexibility to it. It adds you know people it has more opportunity, like more opportunity as we were saying, but more choices, right? And
Yeah.
and sometimes what we got to be careful with is providing too many choices.
Yeah.
But if you still kind of have it in those three columns, people, it's been proven over and over again. People think in threes. All the artwork and architecture and everything else is all in threes. I got three pictures behind me, although you can only see two, but there's three behind me. Like it's everywhere, right? And and
Yeah.
and and it just provides, I think, a really unique conversation. You look very well prepared from a whole
Yeah.
presentation perspective. It's not something that I don't think I would leave behind. I would, put that in front of them and allow them to choose where they want to land, and then go to work type thing. But I love this idea.
Yeah. And when you visualize or think about, if you were to visualize your listing presentation and you look at both approaches, one going in and saying it's 5% and that's your flat rate, or it's 6% and that's a flat rate. And the other going in and going, well, here are our options, here are service packages that we provide for you. Which one is the best fit, right? That feels better. That sounds better. It sounds more prepared, more professional, more organized, and you get away from that going, well, it's 5% because that's the standard. And then people start to question that, well, what am I getting for that? And if you can't handle that objection well, you might get broken down to 4% or 3.5%, or we have all those guys doing it for 1% and 2% out in the real estate world, obviously not with us, but it changes that conversation right away, because now your value adds are in front of them, your services are laid out, and they can see and understand, okay, here's what I get for my money. And if I don't want that, I have this option or I have that option. It allows them to make a more educated decision. And I would argue that it could potentially eliminate some of your commission objections, right? Um, and going to what you said, the a la carte model, right, is also an option. Like we could go really out of left field on this. Like we can charge flat fees, right? So what if you said, it's a 2% base plus your a la carte options up to a cap of whatever 6%, and perhaps they could then choose, okay, we pay you the 2 or the 3 or the 4%, whatever that base is going to be, and then we also want you to paint, and we also want a handyman, and we also want staging, and those are the flat fees on top of that, so you can actually allow for those hard costs. That's another creative way to do it. We don't we don't all have to just stand in line and say the standard line, right? We can think different and behave differently and set ourselves apart. And this is a huge opportunity to do that for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Standing yourself or letting yourself stand apart from the crowd.
Yeah.
That's definitely whatever it is. You got to hold up a pickle in the air to be different. Like, do it. This is one of those ways. I
Yeah,
don't know why I
if
went
your
with that.
avatar, I don't know either, but if your avatar client is like a pickle lover, then that would work, right? Just stand
Right?
in a pickle suit, attract all the people that want pickles.
There you go.
I don't know. Yeah,
There you go.
I love it.
Beautiful. All right. So I would say if you want more information or if you want to have a deeper discussion around that, Jen and I are happy to do so. And maybe Jen, that's something that we have a more in-depth conversation with with our agents inside our
Yeah.
brokerage because I think there's a real opportunity there to expand on this for sure.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's one of the areas that maybe our industry needs to change a little bit and let go of holding on to it's 5% because it's 5% and start to actually show our value on paper. Because I think that would also get define the great agents from the good agents from the non-productive or less productive agents pretty easily instead of us trying to have to sell ourselves every single time we're in an appointment, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. I love it. Okay, let's move on. Okay, referrals get paid. You and I kind of laughed about this. Um,
Yeah.
there, building a real estate business is all about leverage, and I talk about real estate. Being a realtor is a business, and the best part is I believe, is the opportunity to leverage and leveraging out to agents that have expertise, whether it's in a specific field of real estate or the geographic area. And it's something that me, Jen, I leverage that quite heavily at the moment.
Mhm.
And I know you've done that in the past too. And
Yeah.
there's some good lessons that you and I have had over the years on sending referrals to other agents and so forth. And I thought it'd be good to have a conversation around this.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to talk about this. And right now, with the amount of movement we're seeing as people are getting more flexibility in their work lifestyles and in their ability to be remote and to spend more time at the cottage and in more country areas, we're seeing that big trend of people shifting. And as agents, if we don't have a team that we can rely on to refer to, we're in trouble, right? That's a lot of business that we might be losing out on. And I was sharing with you earlier, I have clients that I sold a house to 10 years ago down in the beach, and they're actually started in Leslieville, and they loved it. They're city people, they work downtown. They called me up a week and a half ago and just said, we want to move to Collingwood. Like, we want space. We've got a dog, we've got the cottage. We're kind of tired of the downtown life, and with COVID and everything else, we just want to get out of here and come see the house and let's chat. Always a great call to get. But they were never people that I thought would make that transition, because when we bought, they were all about city life, right? And being in that Leslieville pocket and being close to everything. And we were having that conversation now about getting them set up with a great agent that they can rely on, that I know is going to provide the same level of service that I would provide, so that that transition for them still represents me. When we refer somebody, what they receive on the other end is still a representation of our service, right? So who's your partner in that area? Who are you sending those referrals to, and what level of service are they giving? Have you vetted them, right? And beyond that, do you even know how a referral works? And I'm going to throw that to you, Gary, because I think you could shed some light on that.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Appreciate that. I certainly do know how a referral works now, years later. But
Yeah.
you only need to learn a lesson once, hopefully. Hopefully, you only need to go through a situation once. Okay, so why do we refer? Well, a couple of things. From if I put my manager's hat on, if you will, for a moment, Jen, like it is as a realtor, we have a fiduciary duty to serve our client in the best way that we can. And if we are not an expert in that local geographic area, refer. refer, because there could be so many different things that show up in that local market that we're just not aware of. Uh, Also, secondarily, if it's the type of property that we're not familiar with, anything from farms to septic systems or investment properties or downtown condos, and we're an uptown type of guy or girl, it like doesn't matter, like refer out. Okay, so Jen's kind of jokingly threw it over to me because we shared a story earlier. um, you only need a lesson once. And the best part about a referral, not only do you get to serve your clients, but obviously, as it says here in the title below us, you get paid if you ask to get paid. I will say, it was my first year in real estate. I was doing really well, and I had a client that wanted to sell one of his properties, and it was not in an area that I was familiar with. It was pretty far from me, so I sent it to an agent that he and I had talked to each other. We knew each other a little bit, and he sold his property. And I did not receive a referral fee from it. Why? Because I didn't ask for one. But I did get, here's what I did get, and it's one of those lessons. I did get, I believe, a $50 gift card to Best Buy for being a great agent, which
Oh,
I
I
was
love it.
thankful for,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I
I mean, that was
used.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, I learned my lesson. So when you pick up that phone or the email and you're sending a referral over, uh, negotiate the referral fee um, first. I mean that's what I do, and do not feel. And this was something that I got over pretty quickly. Do not feel uncomfortable about asking for it. Just flat out asking for it, and you can do that in many different ways. I'm going to send you a referral, and I will be taking 25% of the commission on this. However you want to word it, and you
Mhm.
only need to do that once. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I love that. That cracked me up. The $50 Best Buy gift card was my favorite. And I mean, it was actually nice that they sent that to you because I've heard stories where, nothing, they don't even know the deal was done, right? And to kind of step back into the protocol a little bit, in order to have a referral properly processed, what you want to do is, get in connection with the agent first, make sure they're a fit with your client, make sure your clients are happy to move forward with them, then get a contract signed outlining that you are referring them, what area they're going to be in, what the percentages of the commission that you're going to get as the referral. Traditionally it's 25%. You can usually negotiate 25 to 30. We see that relatively often. Get the other agent to sign that, and then contact info.
Yes.
Just
Jen, it
that's
cut
the
out there
order
a little
that
bit.
that runs in.
Yeah. Sorry, you cut out. I'm just gonna
Sorry.
rephrase what you said, or put the foot down. Yes. Send the referral agreement, get it signed by the other agent, receive it, send the client over, and wish them. Don't wish them all the best, but put them in good hands. Very good. I'm just looking
Yeah.
at some of the
Yeah.
comments here, Michelle King, and back to our previous topic. I like this, Michelle, on the sliding scale, the silver, gold, and platinum service packages. Absolutely, people understand what that
Right.
means.
Yeah.
You read it, and they understand that it's going to be a different service level from you. I love that, Michelle. Good one for sure.
Mhm.
Cool, cool, cool. All right. Yes, get paid on referrals, which means ask up front. or
Yeah, and just to flip this on the other side a little bit, because I can shed light on an experience that I've had, um, where I assumed that people that I know knew how referrals worked, and that it was a thing in our industry, and I learned the hard way that that was not the case. And I had actually family members who, you called me one day all excited. We just bought a condo in wherever, and I'd been sending some listings and helping them with some info, but they didn't know that I could get a referral, and that was on me. I didn't educate them, right? So make sure when you do have clients, even if they're out of town or not local, you can still make sure that they get the support they need with a local agent in the area, even if they're not your active clients that you're now referring out. So just make sure that you educate them on that as well, so that they, even if they're, like I said, they're not close by, they know, hey, before you buy something, give me a call, right? Let me help you with that process, and here's how that could look, so that you can get not only paid on those as well, but make sure that they're getting great agents, that they're going to the right people and getting the right protection and support, right? So just a little the other side of that, I guess, because we don't think about those guys sometimes when they're not local, right?
Well, I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, we do got to train, our database, if you will, on what that looks like, and it can be approached in so many different ways. I know when I was doing my investment workshops, I would always, end the evening with, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, and I kind of make a joke about it. Anywhere in North America, I've got a good database of agents that that we work with, and especially in Canada, and because we were working with different investors. Um, that investment world is really small. So I would remind people that I've already vetted a lot of these people. And it was true because
Hmm.
I knew we had been in different networking events going back down to, to 2008 or even before. And yeah, I would send referrals to Calgary, Vancouver, all sorts of different places, Edmonton. So even because
Yeah.
it's not local, don't think or leverage that and educate your client, your database on that for sure. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, in your role now, Gary, too, you rely more on a referral model for your business than an active sales, right? And I mean, it's working out. I know really well for you guys. Everything's going really smoothly. So, that is another option in getting creative in how we build and run our businesses, right? If you want to leverage out a lot of your transactions because you want to spend time somewhere else, you can build an entire referral network that allows you to do that. And your only responsibility is get the lead, convert the lead, pass the lead along, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Last I looked, and in 2020, I believe I'd referred out about $14 million worth of volume, and that goes a long way on the referral fee standpoint. You can imagine, right?
Yeah,
So, uh,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, leverage that, leverage your contacts, leverage your relationships for sure.
Hmm.
Good. Okay, moving
Yeah.
on, Jen. CMHC was wrong. So what does this mean? And Irene, I see some of your comments coming up here. We'll circle back to them in just a moment. Well, let's stay on the CMHC topic for just a second here. So we knew they were wrong from their predictions from last year. They just acknowledged that they were wrong. That in an article and some tweets that came out earlier in the week by their CEO. And so, why were they wrong? What did they say? What was the big thing about? Um, Dating back to early last year and throughout the year, they kept calling for the Canadian real estate market to crash, to crash, to crash, and they were really very, very strong in their opinions on that. Yet the real estate market and different economists kept looking at it and they kept saying, "Well, we don't see it. We don't forecast it. We're not seeing it." And people like Benjamin Tall and others in the Canadian economic stand front, they just never saw it. And in fact, they just announced the other day that, yeah, they were not only were they wrong, they were incredibly wrong about this market. And really, there was only about a what, Jen, last year, so last April, maybe into the second, not even week of May, the market
Yeah.
was on pause. And that's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
And that pause
Yeah.
got thrown into high gear pretty quick after that. Wouldn't you agree?
I think way faster than anybody thought it would, actually. It kind of really took on a life of its own in that moment. And it just kept going. And then we rolled into October and then November, then December, and then of course, January being I think arguably we could say the peak of the crazy in that sense of the chaos as we now starting to see more inventory roll out. But yeah, I think it really did kind of become a beast that nobody was really anticipating. We were all looking one way and it kind of shifted different. But I think most people who were watching pivoted quickly, which was great, but CMHC somehow didn't. I don't know
No,
what
they
happened there.
Yeah, and they were, and the things that they were predicting, some of it came true to an extent. However, it
Mm.
didn't affect the real estate market. So they were talking about, people are going to be losing income and jobs and all the thing, everything that goes along with that. So when you lose income and jobs, you spend less. And they were absolutely
Right.
right on that point. And at Keller Williams, we just finished family reunion, and Gary Keller loves to do what he calls the vision speech, or in other terms, the economic speech, if you will. And of course, all the stats were coming out and the information that was coming out. And yes, people lost jobs, and which means they lose income. However, the majority of people that lost and the unemployment rate went up. They were, the 20-year-old to the 30-year-old um, population. And as Jen and I were talking earlier, that's not typically the population that's buying houses. Typically
Yeah.
that age gap is 35 and over in the GTA area, and it's probably similar in many cases. And that's one of the reasons why the real estate market didn't slow down as CMHC thought it was going to be. The other really neat thing, Jen, that came out of those conversations with Gary Keller and in some of the other articles I was reading this week on Global Mail and so forth. Look at me. I sound like I'm all like old and proper now reading the Globe and Mail. My father-in-law would be
Yeah.
proud. But
I feel like there's a joke in there somewhere.
yeah, I don't know what there is. Yeah. I can only read so many articles before I had to pay for it. Silly
Yeah.
Globe and Mail. However, in one of the articles, they talked about, for the Canadian population that earns household income of $100,000 or more, that group of people, which is actually a large group of people, have never in history have they've had so much savings at one time,
Hmm.
and they
I
are
mean,
just dying to spend it.
well, I think that's the thing is because traditionally we're more of a spending economy and we haven't been able to, right? So it's, I think that's why everybody's renovating. It's like, got to
Yeah,
do something.
yeah, and there was an image that Gary Keller brought up, and I know I got the slides sent to me just the other day. I was like 200 slides, so there's a lot to go through. However,
Yeah.
one of the slides I remember going up is, okay, if I have all this savings, they did a survey on where do you expect to spend it, and of course it was in investments, real estate, stock market, home renovations, travel, all the things that
Right.
everybody wants to do, right? And it was
Yeah.
very few people that said that they were, not going to do anything, which, our GDP is going to go up this year in Canada, and most likely in the States as well, believe it or not. And we're going to see another boom to, economic boom in the market once, as things get lifted, depending where you are with
Hmm.
COVID restrictions. And we're seeing that now. My wife was at
Yeah.
Costco this morning, and because she's able to go out shopping and feel comfortable doing that, just things like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even looking at the next year to 2 years, the amount of travel that's going to occur as we're allowed to do that more because we've been told we can't. So of course, that's all we want to do now, right? And I think that it's going to be interesting to see how that looks and what those prices are going to be in the spending. Because I know people that are saying, I don't care what it costs. I'm going. The minute we're able to go, I'm going. I'll pay. I've got the money right now, right?
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a whole nother wave of money going into our economy as this clears out. And this is obviously not to kind of get away from the fact that they're obviously having people that have been financially impacted and have lost jobs and are struggling, and all of that is occurring. But when we're looking at where those issues are happening in relation to the real estate market, they're different demographics, and I think that's really what it's coming down to, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Mm.
Okay, good. Irene, we will get to your comment before the end of the show here. We've got one more topic, and then we'll loop back into some of those things here. Yeah, that's good. Oh, I did want to mention, Jen, that CMHC is a fantastic resource for information, statistical information, whether it be your average rent prices in specific areas to mortgage arrears to what have you. It is a good resource, but I would listen to people like Benjamin Tall, he's the chief economist for CIBC, and people like that that are, they don't care whether you buy real estate or not. They just
Yeah.
report on the economics of Canada, and he's a good resource if you're into that type of thing. Good stuff.
Hmm.
Okay, moving on, Jen. This is our last topic. If I press the button. Listing agent value proposition. So here's how this topic came out. Jen, you had said to me, this market's moving so fast. Do we still need to keep staging? And that was,
Hmm.
some of the agents are asking about, and then we just had more and more that it just kept growing and growing this conversation. So
Yeah.
what you lead us off here?
Yeah, so the reason it came up is because I've been getting asked this with coaching and hearing that client like agents are being asked this by their clients. Like, what, well, can I just leave my house as it is? The market's so crazy, it's just gonna sell anyway. And that led to the conversation of, well, what's your value proposition? How do you answer that question? Is your value prop that you provide staging? And if it is, and you decide not to do it because the market is an easy market, if as some would like to say, we all know that's not true, but people like to say that in these booming markets. Um, are you providing the same level of service to every client? Because that's what your value prop is, and your value proposition is what you're giving to them, what makes you unique and specific and is purposeful and it's clear. And if you start to deviate from that, then you start to shift away from what your brand is and you start to provide a different level of service. And then your referrals and your future business gets impacted by that. So when we're having this conversation of should I stage or not, because it's a good market and it's easy to not do that and not spend that money, it's a much bigger conversation as we learned when we kind of fell into it, right? And I think that that's an important thing to look at. What are you providing to your clients? What's your service? If you don't have a value prop, then you need to start thinking about that, right? What is your brand and how are you unique? What are you offering to people that others aren't? We touched on that with that sliding scale commission. But beyond that, how do you protect yourself when this market gets super competitive? How do you provide something that no one else is providing? And it's your value prop. And if you can't walk in and defend that and provide it consistently, you need to work on that part of your business.
Boom. There you go. That's great. And while you were talking there, I was thinking to myself, you know, your value prop is the experience you provide to your sellers or your clients,
Mhm.
your buyers for that matter. And perhaps that's just another way to think about it, right? And
Yeah.
what experience am I providing for them? Is it just like
Right.
the same guy that's going to come in the door next? Or is it something that's truly unique that only you can provide? And
Yeah.
I think that's a really strong, powerful way to look at it. If that's the trend in the marketplace where you currently are selling properties, is yeah, we just throw up pictures and things are selling. How easy is it to stand out from the crowd at that point?
Right. Right. If all you have to do is stage to make yourself, and I don't even mean pay a stager, like you can stage yourself if you want to, right? You can get certifications and learn how to do it. And if that's all you have to do to be better than the rest of your competition, how are you not doing it? And, part of our value proposition is obviously what are our competitors doing? We have to know that. We have to look at that, explore that a little bit, see what they're offering, and then adjust. And I'm just going to give you a heads up. My laptop is flashing at me that my battery is low and I don't have my power cord, which is horrible. Um, so I might cut out if I disappear. That's why I didn't just give up and stop wanting to be here. But I just wanted to let you know, Gary. So yeah, I think going back to that, who are you competing against and what are they offering? And
Yeah,
how do you do something different? It doesn't have to be better because some people are going to be attracted to one offer and some people are going to be attracted to the other, but it has to be competitive, and it has to set you apart. And so what does that look like? And the first step in that is defining who you do you want to work with to begin with.
yeah, it's very true. I had a friend of mine years ago say that being a realtor is really easy, right? And you and I have talked about this in the past. You just got to be willing to do a little bit extra than what everybody else is doing. And yeah, a lot of people are staging now. A lot of people are doing the videos, great photos, great videos. And but if you're looking around the marketplace and some of that's being pulled back, to me it makes sense to double down on some of that stuff, right? Some of that stuff that's really unique
Mhm.
to you. And one of the agents, or actually we had her on one of our earlier episodes, Stevie, right? Stevie is great at
Yeah.
social media and TikTok and all that. Like, leverage some of those other tools that you had that no one else can copy you on, right? And
Yeah.
just stand out from the crowd. Okay, so before you die on us, Jen, I mean your computer die on us. I
Computer
know,
die.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Physically, you might go on us too. You've had a tough week or a busy week, I should say. Yes, Irene. How do you ensure that a referral fee is owed to you? Jen, you covered this earlier. Covered it once more for our friends here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what you want to do, Irene, is make sure that you get that referral agreement document signed before you send your clients over to that person. So you're going to go in, you're going to state that what the cut is that you're taking, 25%, 30%, whatever you guys negotiate and agree on. Everybody signs off on it. And then, of course, once it's submitted, that agent is still responsible for keeping you up to date, and you're still going to maintain your relationship with your clients. So you're going to be checking in on them to make sure they're getting the same level of service. How's it going? Have you found anything? How can I help? Right? And you're still part of that relationship. So your clients will obviously be letting you know, and that agent will be letting you know. And then the information and the deal gets submitted through the brokerage, and you get their brokerage, and you get that referral fee that comes from that listing brokerage once that deal closes.
Yeah, yeah. And it, like I said, it is a great way to service your clients and stay in their lives, if you will, from that perspective. Okay, so Jen, we covered a lot of stuff today, and sliding scales. We lost Jen. I knew it would happen. That's all good. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go like this. Yeah, Irene, I will make sure Jen will watch this afterwards and say thanks for sure. Yeah, they keep me up to date. Jen's texting me now. It died with, she's laughing at it. It's all good. But yeah, we cover some great stuff today. Sliding scales, commissions. Do reach out to Jen and I if you want some more in-depth clarity on that. But that truly is a great opportunity for you as a listing agent to sit down with your seller clients. We talked about CMHC and just understanding the knowledge and the information that they're putting out there, and of course referrals that we covered, and your value proposition as a listing agent. So for Jen Silvernagle, I'm Gary McGowan, and yes, we will be back at our regularly scheduled time Tuesday at 2:30, and with lots of great things happening then. We'll see everybody next week. Bye for now.